Welcome back everybody to another video. My name is Shiraz Ali. I'm a real estate broker here in New York City with Suits Realty. We help all of our clients with their purchasing, selling, and anything in real estate needed from the 5 boroughs and beyond. Today I want to talk about multifamily, purchasing a multifamily home specifically for primary residency. So that means you're buying a multifamily. So if it's 2 units, you're going to live in one and you're renting the other one. Same applies for 3 unit and more. There's 5 bullet points that I'm going to go over with you, and this will guide you towards what you need to think about and what you need to do when purchasing a multifamily home. The first one we're going to talk about is purchase price and payment, which is by far probably the most important thing that you need to worry about. So payment being the most important. Now, purchase price, you can an average home in New York City for multifamily goes for around $1 million. So if you're buying $1 million multifamily, and let's say you're doing 20% down payment, your payment, which is principal and interest, based off of today's interest rate at 7%, it's going to be around $5,300 a month, give or take. And now this doesn't include your escrows. Remember, your escrows is your property tax and your insurance. That's calculated based off of every single property. It's different for every property. So when you're looking at properties for sale, that's public information. You can typically look for the taxes that are for the year, divide that up by 12, so that way you know what your monthly tax is looking like. And your insurance, you can find some insurance codes or ask around to some insurance brokers and say, hey, in this area, what's the average insurance for a home, for a 2-unit or 3-unit home? So this way you have those expenses already written down, noted, and saved. And then when you're searching for your property in that area, you can basically use that same info and plug it into every single home, and you'll know your exact mortgage payment with escrows. But principal, and for this video, we're going to talk about just principal and interest. That's coming out to $5,300 a month. Now, if you did the FHA loan, which allows you to do 3.5% down, you're going to definitely have private mortgage insurance on that. And at the same $1 million with 3.5 down, 7% rate, you're looking at $7,208 a month. So give or take $7,200, $7,300 a month. That includes your principal and interest, which is around $6,400, and a mortgage insurance around $780 per month. So again, doesn't include your escrow, taxes, and insurance. That's separate for you to figure out. However, that's what you're looking at, $7,200 with an FHA, around $5,200, $5,300 on a 20% down conventional 30-year fixed loan. Now, taking these numbers, you're going to move on to step 2, which is figuring out what is the rent amount. So you want to either working with your realtor or looking online, you can figure out what the average rents are for 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 1 bedrooms in the area. So this way you have this information saved, and when you're looking at multifamily, not all of them are going to come with a 3/3 or a 2/2. It's gonna be mix and match. Maybe sometimes it's different. So depending on how large of a home you're looking for primary residency, maybe you need a 3-bedroom for yourself and you can rent out the 2-bedroom that comes with the house. Or maybe your family is just small, you're just starting up, so you can stay in the 2-bedroom unit and rent out the 3-bedroom unit. So know your rents, because that's very important for you to know, and you can deduct that from the mortgage payment every single month. So that's the point of the multifamily, is the fact that you'll get a second unit that'll help you pay the mortgage. And now when it comes to purchase price, also work with your loan officer. You can make sure that your pre-approval that you get is solid. And let's say for instance, the pre-approval is $1 million. Doesn't mean you have to shop up to $1 million. Make sure you run your numbers. You're like, hey, you know what? I don't feel comfortable at $1 million, even though I personally qualify based on my down payment and income. However, I'll look at something around the $850 or the $900 range, because that payment is just a little bit better for me and I'll feel more comfortable with that payment. Now, do remember, the area you're looking at, if the average home is $900, you're not going to find a home for $800 that's just like the 900 comparable. It's most likely going to need renos and stuff. There's always a give and take between the pricing of the home and the average price going in the area that you're searching. So keep that in consideration, the purchase price, the payment, and the rent amount. These three numbers are very important for you to have on hand when you start your search for your home, whether you'll have it or your realtor will have it. Next, aside from your down payment and your closing costs that you're going to be paying when you purchase the home, you might have expenses related to renovations post-closing, which you can typically figure out with your realtor, with your home inspector, and with your contractor during your phase of during the process of purchasing the property. So some home might be finished. You might just have to do a paint job, maybe upgrade a faucet here and there, and you're ready to rock and roll. Some homes you might need to go in and sand and polish the floors, paint, maybe change out some cabinetry, maybe update the bathrooms, the toilets need to get updated. So just know that all these expenses you have on hand before your closing or before you submit your offer. So you know that, okay, I'll be going in and spending give or take $10,000 on renovations or $5,000 or $20,000, whatever it is, and you're not surprised by these rentals post-closing, because that's the worst thing to do, because you want to try to get into that property as soon as possible with the rentals being done and everything, and get that property rented, because your mortgage payment is going to begin. So before your payment starts, you want to be in that property and have that rental unit occupied so you have that rent coming in. Fourth thing we're going to talk about is finding and maintaining a tenant. Now, finding a tenant in New York City, it's not difficult, because we do have a housing shortage here in New York City. There's just so many people looking to rent compared to the amount of availability, and same goes for purchasing. There's so many people looking to purchase with the amount of availability that's on the market right now. So finding a tenant is not that difficult. However, you do want to take your time, find a great tenant. You don't want to rush into it. You want to make sure you check mark everything. You look at all the documentation, they qualify, and that you feel comfortable with the tenant, and then you're ready to go. Because remember, especially when you're occupying the property, they're going to be like family. They're going to become, the communication is going to be there every day. So you want to make sure that the tenant that's coming in, you feel comfortable, they're qualified, and that they're, to your best ability. Because at the end of the day, you don't know who this person is. The person doesn't know you. So the most you can do is make sure that they're qualified, and and when they occupy, they pay the rent on time. And when it comes to also maintaining the tenant, you want somebody that's going to stay for a longer period of time. So if the average rent, let's say for the 2-bedroom that you're looking to rent is $2,500, I recommend to my homeowners, rent it for $2,300. Go a little bit lower than what everybody else is asking for on the market. This way, everybody, first of all the tenants will flock to you. And then second of all, it gives you options. And then you can find the best applicant from those options and give it to them at the lower rate. That incentivizes, one, a great applicant. Second, the applicant stays for a longer period of time. That tenant will not just stay for a year, and unless they find something else cheaper, maybe, and they move out. Now, for you to re-rent that apartment, maybe you might have to just touch up some paint, fix this, fix that. That can take about a week or so. And then you have to put it on the market and then go through the entire process all over again. Now, between vacancy of the last tenant leaving and being occupied by the new tenant, give or take, you're going to have 30 days. So that's an entire month of rent lost. So if you just had rented it for that $2,300 instead of $25,000, you wouldn't have had that issue. That tenant might have stayed for another year, maybe 2 more years. So you definitely want long-term tenants. And if that means cutting a few $100, $200 off the rent in the beginning, then so be it. You'd rather have continuous rent for 2 to 5 years. And this also, and the third incentive it gives to the tenant is that, my landlord is flexible. They're a human being. They're not just, number crunchers, and then that's it. No, this is what I need. You don't want to be a stickler. You want to just have that comfortability, have that communication with the tenant. And it all starts with you looking at their papers and you looking at their application and seeing if they qualify, and they're judging you based off of how you interact with them and how you're presenting the lease and the terms with them. So have that communication between each other, and you'll have a great tenant. Last but not least, which is by far the most important, maybe right up there with the mortgage and the payment and stuff, is eviction. In my experience as a realtor for the last 14 years, and then the first few years of my career, I was exclusively doing rentals. From my experience, most tenants are great. They pay the rent on time. They don't cause chaos. They talk with their landlords. Like, they're good tenants. But then you'll have that one bad apple that's not going to pay rent. And now you have to take them to landlord-tenant court. In New York City, it can take you between 6 to 24 months to evict a tenant. Yes, that's right, 6 to 24 months. I know out of state it might be faster. Maybe even out of the city, it can be a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months. But over here, it's 6 to 24 months to get through that landlord-tenant court process. I don't know why. It's a mystery to all of us. But just keep that in your mind, that you as a homeowner are responsible for the rent every single month. Tenant, however, can pay you on the 1st, they can pay you the 5th, the 10th, the 15th, the 20th. It doesn't matter if they pay you a little bit late. That bank that you have a loan with wants their money from the 1st, and they typically give you a grace period until the 14th of the month without a penalty. After that, you'll be hit with a late fee, and after 30 days or the end of the month, you'll be hit with a late on your credit report, which you don't want at all. So very important to know that if the tenant doesn't pay, you have to make sure that you can cover that mortgage payment. And that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. Make sure that you have your mortgage payment is comfortable enough that you can afford it in the event that your tenant doesn't pay you on time or they just stop paying you. So, and my advice would be that if a tenant stops paying you, again, it comes back to communication. Make sure you have the line of communication open. The tenant will then speak with you and say, hey, Mr. Landlord, I apologize. I just lost my job. I'm not going to be able to make the rent. Can I pay you next month? See, when you have that conversation, then it's easier for you to say, you know what? You've been living here, paying rent on time for a year, 2 years, 8 months, whatever it might be. No problem. Go ahead. Take that month. You know what? To help you out a little bit better, you're getting a new job. We'll take this month's rent. We'll just divide it over the course of the remainder of the months of the lease, and you can pay me in installments like that, rather than having another burden of paying 2 months of upfront rent next month, the back owed and the next month's rent. So just remember, have the communication. You don't want to go through the eviction. That's something that's very, very last resort, all the way at the end. Know your expenses pre-closing, post-closing, and also make sure you find a good tenant. Take your time and know your costs. And guess what? This is where great realtors come in, and they can advise you on these issues, and because they've done it so many times that they can even advise you on things that you might not be thinking about as a first-time buyer or a second-time buyer. So it's best to reach out to your realtor if you're working with one. If you're in New York City, you can reach out to us at Suits Realty. I can have the consultation with you, and we can help you purchase a great property that suits your needs and fits within your budgets. We have a great team, from lenders to attorneys to home inspectors, that we can take you step by step throughout the entire process. And at the end of the day, you'll be a happy client, and we'll do our best to make sure we get you on the right path of home ownership. So those are my points. If you guys think of any, or if you have any questions, leave it in the comment below. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with anybody that's looking to purchase a multifamily, or they're in the process of purchasing. Maybe they just signed a contract, they just closed. Share this video with them, because there's a lot of good tips in here that they might want to hear and consider before they take their next step in their home ownership journey. My name is Shiraz. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.